Okay, so I'm calling this the Dance of Cold Rolled Steel. Um, Basically, this is a cold based dance of knives. It's based off of two things. One, the Dance of Knives build off Max Roll, as well as a video by Woody Joe um, that I watched where he was trying to get a dance of knives that did not require snapshotting. And he got rid of the shadow based stuff and went strictly with a cold based imbuement. Well, I decided to take that up a notch, and I not only do cold imbuement, but I swapped out one of my glyphs on the cheap shot board here, and I put frost feeder in there. Um, so frost feeder, obviously, as you can see, gives you an increased damage to chilled targets. So currently I'm doing 193.8% more damage to chilled enemies, and I gain a 20% multiplicative increased chill effect, um, which also gives me an increased damage to chilled or frozen targets by 8.1%, which is only going to go up as I raise the glyph up. And same thing with the 8.1 damage to chilled enemies. Um, I'm chilling all the time because in my skill tree everything is in the cold imbuement, right? I've got a max 5 there. We're doing enhanced cold imbuement, and then we're doing cold imbued skills deal 20% multiplicative damage to crowd controlled enemies, and then double that against frozen enemies. So we could have gone with the 35% chance to instantly freeze, but I like this multiplicative better. We've maxed out our chilling weight, so chilled enemies have their movement speed further reduced. And then I gain a 20% multiplicative increased chill effect again on them. And then, of course, Frigid Finesse, which gives me 20% multiplicative increased damage to chilled enemies, and the bonus increases to double that of 40% multiplicative against frozen enemies. So everything is going to be geared towards cold, 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 cold. So I'm not even using any other imbuement or any other skill here. Not really sure what I would put in there, even if I did have another skill to put in there. But for now, I'm just doing everything cold based. Couple other little quick changes that I've done for this build based on the max roll. Everything for the most part is the same outside of some gem placements here right now. I'm not getting the full 70% across the board here that I need to get. Still working on filling out my paragon board for that. So once we get there, that should go up a bit, and I can maybe increase my armor here because, as you can see, my armor sucks straight up. So but the biggest changes that I'm running on this build compared to the max roll build and the Woody Joe build is they typically use Tybalt's Will. Here, I'm using Temerity so that I can get the barrier for extra defense because my armor is so low. Once I can get my armor up, then I will probably switch these out for a pair of Tybalt's Will that I have. I need to get a better pair of Fists of Fates. But the other changes that I'm running here is I'm running Air of Perdition instead of the Cowl of the Nameless. This is giving me a better critical strike chance, a better lucky hit chance. It's increasing my movement speed. I don't really care about the +5 to core skills because I'm not using a core skill. And then the 60% multiplicative damage is kind of nice. If I was playing in a group, it would be even better because then that would get multiplied even more when I slaughter enemies and steal Mother's favor from nearby allies. Running with the Shroud of False Death here, of course, to get the 815.8% damage on my next attack after entering stealth. And we go in and out of stealth quite a bit because of the concealment that we're running. So that's kind of nice. And of course, if I haven't dealt damage in the last 2 seconds, I'll gain stealth instantly you know, and then I get a 40% additive movement speed, so I get a little bit of a speed boost there. So we're going to kind of be doing those both off and on, going in and out of stealth and, you know, not doing damage occasionally when we are moving between crowds of enemies. So outside of that, the only other real changes I've made to the build are the rune words that are on the weapon and on the helm. Instead of yaks and quacks and the other one that they're using, I'm using back and quacks, so back quacks. The reason why I go with that is because I only have to travel 40 meters, and then my next non-basic skill will spend all of my primary resource and deal up to 100% increased damage. So that's getting triggered quite often because you're always moving. And then your Dance of Knives has an increased 100% damage. The next change I made was down here on the weapon. I went with Neo and Yam because you deal damage after not taking any within 2 seconds, and you're going to invoke the Druid's Petrify, which is stunning the enemies and restoring your primary resource. But Petrify is also considered an ultimate, and so it boosts your damage 100% almost based on the ultimate paragon board called No Witnesses. Right here, your ultimate skills gain an additional 10% multiplicative damage from your damage with ultimate bonus, and then it grants that same bonus to all your skills, right? So all of our skills are going to get a multiplicative damage of 10. And then they can get up to a maximum of 45, which my current bonus is 33. Now, as I get my gem leveled up here, this gem will increase the bonus to all the nodes around it as I get them filled out, and that's going to increase my damage even more. As you can see, currently I have a plus 70% ultimate damage, right? So as I fill this board out more, this is going to get higher and higher and higher, giving me more and more damage. And that's all going to work in conjunction with the grenade setup, which is explosive. As you can see, currently I'm doing a plus 508.9% stun grenade damage. And then 18.9% multiplicative stun grenade damage. Now that's all based on the Dance of Knives. You're probably thinking, why are you doing stun grenades? Well, as Woody Joe says, Dance of Knives is a grenade-based skill, right? So the idea here, as you can see, my Dance of Knives, it's marked as an agility, a cutthroat, it's imbuable, it's channeled, it's a grenade and a stun grenade. So it benefits from everything and anything that benefits grenades. So we want to get that grenade glyph up as high as we can for explosive. And then we want ultimate to be casting all the time as much as possible because it's just going to boost that. And then on top of that, I'm running any skill that affects my grenades. So on my boots, I'm running Frostbitten. It's going to give me stun grenades, 23% multiplicative. I need to get the higher aspect up there to get it up to 30%. Increased critical strike damage, right? Can't beat that. And then here, when I spend 75 energy, I'm automatically releasing a cluster of exploding stun grenades that deal 534 total physical damage and stun enemies for 1 second. So this is happening a lot because over here, my next non-basic skill is going to spend 100% of my primary resource, upping my damage 100%, right? But at the same time, it's going to trigger the Artful Initiative, which is going to drop some stun grenades. And then, of course, because of the explosive glyph, the stun grenades, that 534 is really jumping up there. It's way up there, a lot more. Same thing here. We're going in and out of stealth constantly, so we drop a cluster of exploding grenades every now and then, and they do a ton of damage. And so that's all based, again, on explosive. So we're trying to get that explosive glyph as high as we can. But the big thing that's helping all these trigger is using back and quacks and then using Neo and Yam. It doesn't matter what you put them on, helm or weapon, you know, as long as Neo and Yam are together and Back and Quacks are together. So let's go, and we're going to run a tier 4, and then we will see how well it performs without even having everything on there. So I'm going to run a tier 4, and again, nothing's maxed out yet, but we're going to run it, and we're going to do some damage, and we'll crush this here. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of get into a space here. I'm going to get my momentum up. Once I do that, I'm going to cast my stuff here, and then I'm just going to hold down my spin to win. At that point, I'm just going to run around. As you can see, Petrify is kicking off. I'm moving, so both my purples are growing. Boom, damage just got boosted. Got boosted again. Keep in mind that 100% increase to damage, that lasts for 6 seconds. So if you can keep your movement up, you're going to keep that going every 6 seconds without any problems. And everything's just dying. I like it. And I have crap for armor. Keep that in mind. My armor is crap. I'm not even maxed out on any of my aspects yet. I am not maxed out on anything, really. I only have a few items that are running in 800. Everything is 750 or below. And yet, I'm able to run tier 4, level 65 pit with no real problems. And it should only get better from here as I get those glyphs higher. So that's going to be the bigger concern, I think, is pushing the glyphs bit by bit enough to get the explosive high enough to where I'm doing enough damage that I can just run through these fairly quickly. I may have to run in a few groups, see if there's a couple of parties that can run just to get the glyphs up to where I need them to be, to where I can then solo. But so far, as the build stands, it's doing pretty well. And it really shines when we get to the bosses. It staggers them fast, allowing us to damage them quicker and destroy them. And again, look at that armor. That armor is weak, but look at that damage, that attack power. finish this with plenty of time. So I think we can then step up a couple of levels here on our next run. Start getting that explosive glyph where we need it to be. Because that's going to be our real damage doer right there. I'd like to say that I'm going to level that up first, but I think I may have to level them all up in groups. Alright, so here we go. Gonna go take on the boss. Look how quick that stagger's going up. And then look how fast that damage is just taking down the life. So there we go. Tier 4. Nothing's even maxed out yet. My glyphs are all still at what? I think they were level 60 at the highest. Everything else is a 48 or below. Just cleared a T4. Wasn't too bad. Gained me a paragon point while I was at it. So I need to start maxing out my paragon board here. We don't need anything more here, so we need to work our way over towards here. I may boost this one so that the ultimate damage goes up a bit more. We need to get some more ultimate damage here and attack speed, so we got to work our way over there. And that's what we'll do. We'll slowly work our way. But that is what I call the dance of cold rolled steel. So I recommend giving it a shot and tell me what you think about it. Again, the biggest thing here is using Neo and Yam to keep your Druid Petrified going as often as possible, and then Bach and Quacks in order to keep your next non-basic skill cast spending all of your primary resource and increasing your damage by 100%. And the more you can trigger that one, the better. I'm wondering if there might be a better glyph I can use instead of back in conjunction with Quacks. Maybe a potion, you know, like the Yaks and Quacks, but then you constantly have to be drinking potions and picking up potions, and I didn't want to have to worry about that. So this right now, for the most part, works the best. I really wish they hadn't increased it to 40 meters, and before it was 5 or 10. It was nice, but it seems like after the last patch, it's jumped up to 40. But give it a shot. Let me know what you think. Till next time.